Chapter 9 to 10. The fact that Eren talks so causally about the rumbling causes Gabby to shiver in fear, and Armin is angry and yells, "Eren, this is going too far. The partial rumbling was meant to tear down the enemy military, not slaughter innocent lives. There are good people out there, children and families, people like us. The Eren I know will never be okay with this bloodshed. Think about what happened to your mom. All the hatred you felt that day. Stop this, please." "I won't stop," Eren says in a cool tone. "If we don't fight, we will die. That's our reality, and no amount of talking will ever change that. The world is right to hate us, Armin. To them, we will never stop being devils that can kill them all at any time. So long as that remains the truth, this war and bloodshed will never end. If you can't give up your humanity to do what is necessary, then nothing you say will ever change anything." Eren stares at his hands and says, "I made a lot of choices that I think are right, and what do you think it takes me? Thomas, Mina, Marco, the Levi squad, Hannes Commander Erwin. All of them have died because of it." Eren says, "I already tell you that I've seen the future. If I don't unleash the rumbling, you're going to be the ones to die next." Armin and Mikasa want to say something, but nothing has come out of their mouths. Eren says, "We have been monsters and devils for years. You don't get to suddenly act like you aren't." Mikasa says, "Then if you can use the rumbling at any time, why didn't you do it yet? If you talk about wanting to do it, why didn't you do it?" Eren says, "I'm waiting for the power of 9 to arrive. I'm pretty sure that Reiner and the others are coming this way for another bloodshed." This causes Gabby to perk up. She asks, "Are Reiner is coming?" "They are probably here for Gabby and Falco," Eren says, "considering they can't wait for 6 months to attack." "Then what is the point of the fight that we did in Liberio?" Armin asks with anger as he stands up. "You forced me to kill all those people with the Colossal. And for what?" Gloria says, "Marley's military might come, but there are only a few soldiers beside the Titans. I'm pretty sure that we can win against them with ease." Just then, Eren feels something and he holds his head.
"Eren."
Mikasa asks with concern, and Eren says, "I'm fine." Zeke has screamed, meaning the soldiers by Captain Levi's side are turning into Titans. "What?" This causes everyone to gasp in shock. Gabby asks, "Then Falco?" "Falco is out of his range, so it is fine. Captain Levi, on the other hand, I'm not sure if he's going to be fine." Eren says, "Speaking of Zeke, I spoke with him in Liberio brother to brother. Zeke knows more about Titans than even Marley does. And that also means I also learn about the Ackerman blood." Mikasa stares at him and Eren continues. "The Ackermans were the accidental result of the Eldian Empire's experiments with the subjects of Ymir and Titan science. They were designed to protect Eldia's king, and acted as the monarchy's right hand, entrusted with the survival of their people. Mikasa, that's why the Founder's power won't affect you. However, because of Karl Fritz's fake peace, your clan has been persecuted. That's why your parents hid in the mountains, or how Captain Levi's family hid in the underground." Mikasa lowers her head, and Eren says, "However, right now I'm giving you a choice. Do you want to help us with the rumbling? Or do you want to stay with Armin and the others, doing something meaningless and causing ourselves to get killed?" Mikasa mutters,
"Eren."
"Why are you forcing Mikasa to be a killer like you?" Armin stands up and yells, "I'm not forcing her. I'm just giving her a choice. If you don't know, the Jaegerists, the Queen and my own faction of soldiers have already taken control of the government. They have plotted to take my Titan powers for their own greed instead of protecting people. However, Zeke's spinal fluid were in their bodies, so it was only a matter of time before they would turn into Titans and be killed." Eren says, "You."
"Eren."
Armin tries to punch Eren, but Mikasa blocks him. "Mikasa." Eren says, "So, Mikasa, you've made your decision." Mikasa lets go of Armin and says, "I promised your mom that I would protect you, and that won't change." "Mikasa!" Armin yells in horror. "I'm glad that you see it our way. The thing is, Historia and I also have talked about this for a while. If you want to, we can also make you the second queen of our Eldia Empire." Eren says, and Mikasa can only gasp in surprise. "Second queen," Mikasa mutters.
"Eren."
"How dare you manipulate Mikasa?" Armin tries to punch Eren, and Eren doesn't react as he and Armin tumble onto the floor, with the table flipping. Armin throws a second punch, but Eren causally sidesteps it, still showing no signs of emotion, and just then, for some reason, Armin is tumbling to the ground with blood spews from his mouth. "Armin!" Mikasa yells in shock. Eren says, "You may be wondering how I did it. Basically, as the royal blood of the Attack Titan, I can unlock the full power of the Attack Titan. The power to manipulate time." Aya says, "The Great Titan War, I'm sure you already know it. The 8 families who held the Titans turned on each other in an endless cycle of conspiracy and betrayal. However, that is going to change. We've already gathered the chosen ones of the 8 families and will work together this time. Eren then stares at Armin, who is still on the ground. Hey Armin, you and I have never fought before, have we? Armin glares at Eren and lunges forward again, throwing another punch, but Eren just dodges. Do you know why? Eren throws a punch, landing across Armin's face and sending him recoiling. Because it's not even close to a fair fight. Eren, please stop. Mikasa holds Eren's hand with tears. Just don't hurt Armin. Eren stares at Mikasa with a frown and says, Of course. Just then, Sasha, Flock, and Louise rush into the room and Sasha asks, Is anything alright? Yeah, everything is fine. What about the others?
Eren asks.
Our faction has subdued them, Flock says. Mikasa, Armin, and even Gabby are shocked to see Sasha in front of them. Mikasa asks, Sasha, is that you? Oh, Mikasa and Armin. And the one who killed my body double. Sasha says, Body double? Armin asks while slowly kneeling. Yeah, I've already predicted Sasha's going to get killed, so we set up a body double to take her place. The body double is also one of our members, and she's willing to die for her and for the Eldia Empire. Eren says with a sad tone. Now come along and behave. Take him. Yes, sir. The Yeagerists then bring Armin away, and Eren says, And that kid who killed the body double as well. After they are taken away, Mikasa asks, Where are we going? To where it all started. Shiganshina. Eren says. While Flock leaves with Hang to meet Shotties and asking for Zeke's location, Armin and the rest are staying in the cell with Sasha guarding the place. So, all we can do is sit here while it all plays out. Connie asks. Now he's sitting in the cell with Jean and Armin. I'm glad to learn that Sasha isn't dead. But now she's also one of them? Armin, can't you bust out of here as a Titan? No, I just destroy the city. Unlike Eren's Titan, the Colossal Titan can't do something that precise. Armin says. Jean asks. So, where is Mikasa? And why did Eren beat you to a pulp? It's about time you tell us. Armin says. Eren's planning to do the full rumbling. He convinced Mikasa to join him. I swing at him and he hit back. Jean says. How did he manage to convince Mikasa to join him? He promises to make her the second queen of the island. Armin mutters. Mikasa also wants to protect Eren as it is Eren's mother's dying wish. But to think that guy is now the king and he didn't even bother telling us. But that means you managed to ask everything about what Eren did before attacking Liberio. Connie asks. He was trying to negotiate with the other nations, but none of the other nations are willing to hear them out. Armin says. So he believes that the rumbling is the only option. Long time no see, heroes of Shiganshina. Just then, they find Yelena and Anyankapan in front of them. Sasha is glaring at them. It pains me to reunite in a place like this. Hey, you're on their side. 2. Let us out. Connie snarls at Anyankapan. That's a lot to ask, considering you guys put me on house arrest. Anyankapan says. Just sit quietly and behave until Zeke and Eren meet. Must be nice, Yelena. Jean says. Everything went exactly how you planned. Through you, Eren moved how Zeke wanted. Raiding Marley, getting people support, using wine to take over the military. Now Eldia and the Founding Titan are yours. You can crush Marley and avenge your homelands. Isn't that the real reason you came to the island? This place was primitive. We brought it out of the past. Anyankapan says. And thanks to you, we managed to get a lot of useful stuff. Sasha says. So care to tell us what Zeke's plan is? Believe me, our true goal is nothing as hollow as getting revenge on Marley. Our goal is to end the cycle of hatred to save Eldia and even Marley. No more secrets. I'll tell you everything about Zeke's plan to save the world. His euthanization plan. After talking about the plan, Armin asks, Stop children from being born? Correct. That's Zeke's euthanization plan. Yelena says while Anyankapan and Sasha are behind Yelena talking about something. All the suffering brought about by Titans will disappear from the world. Gradually. Peacefully. Wait, how is that peaceful? Jean asks. If subjects of Ymir slowly die out, we'll only have geezers to defend in the end. How do we protect ourselves? You think they'll leave us alone? The rumbling can serve as a deterrent as long as the Founding Titan and the royal bloodline are preserved. Fortunately, Queen Historia was blessed with an heir. As long as subjects of Ymir inherit the founder until her child passes away. You talk like this is a sure thing. Jean interjects. Sure things, certainties, no nation can claim to have them. Each one has its own share of problems. But there is one certainty, and that's the threat of Titans. She explains. Their history of tears and bloodshed will be put to an end by Zeke and Eren. I don't know how long humanity will last, but it's hard to think that a greater feat will ever come to pass. People will speak of the brothers as legends for millennia to come, like the gods of the past. Even after their deaths, they'll be seen as saviors who shone over humanity. Yelena's gaze shifts over to Armin, who begins to cry. Something wrong.
No.
But to think your cause was so noble. It touched my heart. Armin says, that's wonderful. I'm glad to know you understand. Yelena says, Eren and Mikasa are now sitting on the carriage, and Mikasa notices that it is not leading them to Shiganshina. Mikasa asks, where are we actually going? We're going to meet Historia first. Eren says, since she's pregnant, she won't be able to move around that much. Mikasa frowns a little and says, why didn't you invite us to the wedding? Why keep the relationship a secret? Aren't we friends?
I'm sorry, Mikasa.
But seeing all kinds of futures makes my mind messed up. I'll explain more once we arrive at the farm. I promise you that I'll explain everything to you. You've better, Mikasa says. After arriving at the rice farm, they find Historia sitting on the chair outside of the house. Historia is delighted to see Eren and says, Eren, no need to stand up, Historia. Eren says while giving her a hug and a kiss. I'm sorry for leaving you too long. A lot of things have happened, and there are some things that I needed to deal with. I know. Historia then realizes that Mikasa is also there. So you've told her everything? How did she take it? Better than I expected, Eren says. But I promise her that I'm going to explain everything to her. Historia nods while turning to Mikasa. I'm deeply sorry about everything, Mikasa. I mean, I kinda stole your man first. But I actually don't mind if I'm going to share him with you. Mikasa flusters a little and says, it's fine. I was just sad that you kept everything from us. Eren says, let's head indoors so we can talk. Then after heading inside, Historia notices that Flock and Sasha are absent. Historia asks, where are Flock and Sasha? Flock is leading a group of soldiers to find Zeke. As for Sasha, she volunteers to guard Armin and the others. Eren says, Gloria says, then we'll just do our training outside and leave you three for a talk. That will be nice. Eren says while Peter, Odom, Louise, Aya, and Gloria leave the room. Eren says, everything began when I kissed Historia's hand in the ceremony. I met the first Titan, the mother of the three goddesses, founder Ymir herself. I saw her past, and she had been wandering in the paths for 2,000 years. As I mentioned before, the attack Titan can manipulate time. As the first Titan, she, like me, saw everything and she wanted to be reborn as my daughter. Daughter! Mikasa widens her eyes in shock. She's right here, Eren says while looking at the big belly of Historia. But her soul was still in the paths because I still need her help. That is the rumbling. Eren closes his eyes and says, I've seen a lot of possibilities for the future, and none of them gives out a good and happy result. Mikasa, in 60% of the results, I would die within a few weeks from now.
No.
It can't be. Mikasa can only lower her head with shock. I don't want to believe it as well, but when Eren shows me by using the Founder's powers, I am also horrified and sad.
Historia frowns.
Most of his death is actually caused by you. What? Mikasa has tears formed in her eyes. Eren says, not voluntarily, but I ask you to end my life. I don't want you to suffer this, that's why I reject all of those futures and search for the one in the 40%. But in the 40%, almost all of the scouts are going to be killed. That also includes you. I'm doing the rumbling so I can protect you guys. But seeing not all of you are going to survive really pains my heart. That's why I try to make myself distant from all of you. Perhaps I won't be able to suffer more pain. So that's why. Mikasa says, to think you have suffered this much. But the path you're taking right now, who will die and who will live? I don't know. But I can ensure that you two are going to be alive, and so am I. Eren says, I promise that I'm going to be Ymir's father, and I'm going to make sure that she deserves a happy life without our enemies harming her. And by promising her that, she breaks the vow of renouncing war and letting me have the full power of the Founding Titan. Historia says, with the full power of the Founding Titan, Eren manages to turn the Titans back to normal people, and we have our own soldiers, the Ygritte. After the Antamarlian volunteers' arrival, Gloria secretly meets us and tells us what she knows about the Eldia Empire and the power of the 9 royal families. And surprisingly, the Jaeger family is actually one of the royal families. If someone from the royal family gets the right Titan, they won't actually die from the 13-year curse. Eren says, in other words, I won't die after 5 years. Really? Mikasa is a little delighted and Eren says, and since I have the ability to see the future, I of course know what Zeke's plan is. He wants the Founder to make every Eldian unable to bear children. That way, Eldians will slowly die out. Of course, I refuse that plan because we are born into this world, and the world won't wait for that to happen. Historia says, and fortunately, none of the Antamarlian volunteers know about this. So with the help from Onyankopon, Nicolo, and some of the volunteers, we decide to share our plan to do the full rumbling with them. We also promise them that if they are willing to help us out, we will bring their families to the island, and once the rumbling is complete, they will be able to have their homeland all by themselves. We also have them to keep a secret from Yelena, because she is quite crazy and won't hesitate to kill after all. However, some of them are still begging not to do the rumbling, so we also promise them that we will try negotiating with the other nations and hoping they would want peace. Eren says, I'm sorry that I left that day, but Gloria and the others were waiting for me so we could travel to the other nations. Since Gloria is from the Tiber family, she knows a lot of important figures from other nations. However, when we try to offer peace, do you know what their answer is? Mikasa says, you said that it is a failure. Not only it is a failure, but 20 of our soldiers were also sacrificed for the sake of our escape and safety.
Eren frowns.
They never wanted to have a deal with the devils, and they all wanted to eliminate us as soon as possible. Our negotiations failed in the end, to the extent that not Armin's speech would be able to turn the tides. Eren clenches his fists and says, and do you know what causes me to transform and kill the people that day in Liberio? Because of Gloria's uncle, Willy Tiber. He gathers all the nations that refuse to gain peace with us. He reveals to them how we lose our memories, and how the Great Titan War ended because of the first Rice King. You would think that he was trying to speak good things to us and learn that we Eldians are not that bad. But no, he decides to use me as an excuse to have all of the nations start a war with our island. Historia says, I've heard everything from Gloria. Because of the uprising, they thought that the peace made by the first Rice King was broken and the world was in great peril. And to make sure the world becomes their ally, they also set bombs at the audience seats and the escape carriages, so they can explode once we started to attack them. They knew you were going to attack during the speech. Eren says, I was really mad. They were the ones who forced Eldians to fight a war for them. They were the ones who made the world hated Eldians more and more, and yet they were doing this. That's why I have no choice but to unleash the rumbling. For our island and for the hatred to end once and for all. But what about the innocent people? Mikasa asks with a frown. It was just like Armin said. There are still innocent people as well. Thanks to Aya Newman, she was able to convince some of the Hizuru's pilots, when the rumbling is going on, they would try to bring children to their own flying ships so that they would be saved. The colossal titans might be tall, but those flying boats can actually fly higher. Besides, the only place which didn't have a flying boat was Parody Island. Other nations already have weapons that can counter the rumbling, and they also have the flying boats to bring their own people to safety. That is if they're not selfish to abandon the innocents. Historia says, in those future memories, I found myself moving forward with the other colossal titans. That's one of the reasons why I got myself killed in the end. Thanks to Peter and Odom, they informed me that I don't need to go with the colossal titan when the rumbling was activated. What I'm doing is just opening a gate filled with unknowns. Will the rumbling be successful? I don't know the answer to that. Eren says. Mikasa can only sigh as she asks. But if the rumbling succeeds, what about the military? Premier Zachary and the military were willing to pick another person to inherit your titan. That's why you killed the premier, right? Yes, and the wine with Zeke's spinal fluid, although that wasn't actually in my plan. Once they turned into titans, the founding titan can overrule Zeke's control. Eren says. They would be helping us fight against Marley, and of course I can also turn them back to normal as well. You're right about that. But if they return back to normal, what if they are still going to go against you?
Historia asks.
They won't be able to, because I've already gotten the people's support. Eren says. Being a doctor around the places really benefits a lot. You say that Marley is coming to fight us. Historia says. When will they arrive, and do you have enough soldiers to fight against them? Eren says. I can use the founding titan to subdue them, but not all of their soldiers are Eldians like us. And they also have anti-titan weapons that can harm and almost kill our people, so we will need to act as quickly as possible. As for when, I'm pretty sure that they are already on the island waiting for the signal to strike. But I'm pretty sure where their spy is hiding. Mikasa says. I'll also join the fight as well. That will be nice. Eren says. As for you, Historia, be sure not to do anything to harm our baby. Of course I won't. Historia says. Promise me that you'll be back alive. I promise. Eren says.